It was a rainy and windy night in Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, and the breaks went the way of the Bearcats as they defeat Miami in the battle for the victory bell. This week, the RedHawks are on the road to take on Minnesota. Head coach Chuck Martin will talk with Steve Baker about both next on RedHawk Football Weekly. This is RedHawk Football Weekly. Brought to you by G&J Pepsi-Cola of Hamilton, refreshing Southwestern Ohio since 1939. By Koenig Equipment, found online at KoenigEquipment.com. By Marathon, fueling the American spirit. By Bud Light, reminding you to enjoy responsibly among friends. Steve Baker talks with Miami head football coach Chuck Martin after this on RedHawk Football Weekly.
You are the center of a universe. That's what we've learned in 160 years serving our community. Everybody means the world to someone. So when you're in here, or if someday you find yourself in here, and when all you can think about is the world that revolves around you, we'll be a world that revolves around you too. Mercy Health. Healthcare for the universe of you.
Pizza with Pepsi. Delicious.
Pepsi's always had great taste. Today, try great taste with zero sugar. This is the Pepsi with zero compromises. This is Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome into RedHawk Football Weekly. I'm Steve Baker, the voice of the RedHawks. A 21-0 defeat for the Miami RedHawks at Paul Brown Stadium on Saturday evening in a wet, windy kind of atmosphere. A tough place to play on Saturday as we welcome in head coach Chuck Martin. And coach, this was a game that, and you talked about it during your presser, you weren't going to have many opportunities. Neither team's going to have a lot of opportunities, and the weather was a big reason for that.
Yeah, we knew going in, obviously the conditions during the day and the forecast was pretty much it's going to rain and rain hard throughout. So whenever you have adverse conditions like that, it's typically a lot harder on the offenses for both teams. We knew going in, Cincinnati just ran the ball 50 sometimes against UCLA, so we didn't really think they were going to change their plan at all. They're going to run the ball, and typically when you have conditions like that, it's certainly harder to move the ball and sustain things offensively. You're worried about turnovers. You're worried about the kicking game in the big play. So we talked all day about opportunities, protecting the football, being sure with the football, don't turn the ball over. We talked about the kicking game, that we got to be good in the kicking game and not let the wind and rain affect it. Obviously, the game kind of went how we thought. Second possession of the game, we let Ritter get outside. We talked all week about how athletic and how fast he was, and he got outside of us and cost us with the 39-yard run that set up their basically one and only score for the game offensively. And then after that, it was just mostly defense, kind of back and forth, and we're looking for those opportunities to pounce and score. We have one in the late first quarter. We got Homer down the middle. We got them on a short field. We're inside their 40. We got Homer on a play action, and we just miss them. We don't get them the ball. That's one opportunity. We have another huge opportunity in the second quarter. We got them backed up. We get a stop. We pinned them deep with a beautiful punt. We set up a good return. We got Kenny Young with the ball. We get a clipping penalty. Kenny returns it down to their 33, 32.5 yard line. Again, would have set up a short field, but now we're back on our 40. During that same drive, we drive the ball, and we got 1st and 10 on the 32, and there was a huge opportunity there. We end up getting an offensive pass interference call. We end up getting pushed all the way back to 50. We're not even in field goal range. So couple missed opportunities. Obviously, there wasn't going to be many, but those were our chances. You push forward in the game. We have a chance for a huge turnover inside their 15-yard line. We have a couple guys scrambling to fall on it. We don't end up falling on the football. About 10 minutes later, they get a batted ball, and they do seize their opportunity and take the interception down our 2-yard line and punch it in. And at that point, you're down 14 early in the fourth quarter. Yeah,
the rain was one thing, but the wind really played a big factor in the game. I know you talked about the kicking game. The wetness of the ball is always going to be a factor, but the wind really played into it, and it kind of whipped around the stadium.
Yeah, it was mostly blowing. It was kind of a crosswind, but there was a decided advantage when you're kicking the ball,
downtown.
kicking the ball towards our locker room. You had to kick the ball and turn the punts over. Both teams had some good punts into the wind, but you had to get turned over. When they didn't get the spiral that they were looking for, the punts in the wind just kind of died in a hurry, which we saw on multiple occasions. So the kicking game, neither team turned it over, which I thought was very good execution on both us and UC's part, because it's tough to handle kicks and handle snaps and all that. We had a nice advantage in the first half in hidden yardage. We gained field position with our kicking game. If we don't clip on Kenny's punt return, we would have had a huge advantage in hidden yardage. Second half, UC flipped that on us. They had over 60 yards of plus field and hidden yardage. So create a lot of long fields for our offense, create a lot of shorter fields for their offense. So, but again, I thought we handled it well. I thought, we didn't have any bad snaps. We didn't have any bobbled catches. Kenny mishandled the one punt, but got on it catching punts in that weather with the wind and the rain was very difficult, obviously. So we didn't have any turnovers or any really huge plays. Really, the huge play we didn't get was a clip on the punt.
Yeah. When you take a look at the first half of this game particularly, obviously, I know it was our home game. We checked in the balls, and you said you checked in a lot of footballs down there to be able to use to try and keep them dry, which kind of played to your offensive side in the first half. Easier for Gus to handle the football, as easily for everybody to really handle the football.
Yeah, and we kind of thought as the game goes on, the conditions, even though you're on turf, the field's going to be fine. But we checked in a crazy amount. We were doing everything we can, and early we thought you'd be able to throw the ball better, and that's why you want to have a lead and be the team that's running in the fourth quarter, not trying to play catch up. And I thought we threw it around decent. We were fairly efficient throwing the football in the first half. Obviously, statistically, we weren't even close to as efficient as the game went on, and so that's a big part of playing in bad conditions and playing ahead in bad conditions, which we talked about. If you get a lead in bad conditions, the odds stack in your favor, because you can now just continue to play it close to best, and you don't have to try to get the points to catch up. So, and it just the little things, and you don't blame the weather, and it's the same for both teams. So we got an opportunity in the third quarter. We're down 7. We put together a nice little drive. We got a flag route. It's open. We ran a little bunch set, and they didn't cover our flag. They got confused out of our bunch set, and you have an opportunity. It wasn't an easy catch and throw, but it would have been a really nice play. It would have been a heck of a lot easier playing dry conditions than whipping, windy, rainy, trying to throw the ball, trying to track the ball, trying to catch the ball. So little things like that, that's how, but that's, again, the opportunities. You got to try to find a way to make that play against a stingy Cincinnati defense.
And you and I talk all the time about a game. You can have 100+ plays in a football game, but it really comes down to 1, 2 to 5 plays that are going to decide a football game, and that was ultimately the case in this game.
Yeah, and in a bad weather game, it's going to be even less opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, so you play Marshall, and we had a delay, but the game was played. It was fine. There's 197 plays, and it's going to come down to 2 or 3 critical plays, but there's probably 30 to 40 plays that could be those 2 or 3 critical plays, where when you play in the conditions we played in, it's going to come down to you're not going to have a ton of chances to score. So if you have a guy open and you don't connect, you're not going to have 10 guys with those opportunities. Turnovers, which again, I thought both teams did a great job. You're waiting to see who can mishandle the ball in these bad weather, or mishandle a snap, or drop a punt. And neither team really did that. And even our one turnover, there's only one turnover the whole game. They gave us a chance for one. We didn't fall on it. But even our turnover wasn't to do with whether it was a good throw. It was really a nice play by their corner, and then it was a crazy ricochet. He bats the ball down. It happens to hit their linebacker in the knee, and it bounces around right to their safety. So even that wasn't because we couldn't handle the conditions or didn't make a good play. We ran a good route. We threw a good ball. It just, like I said, credit goes to Cincinnati's corner for making a pass break up, and then a little bit unlucky with a triple ricochet after that.
Exactly.
But even that wasn't because we couldn't handle the conditions. I thought our offense guys did a great job with their ball security.
All right, we'll come back, talk more about the battle for the victory bell this past Saturday. A little bit later on, we'll preview the RedHawks' next opponent on the road against the Golden Gophers of Minnesota this Saturday at 3:30. That's as we continue here on RedHawk Football Weekly.
From the creators of Dr. Pepper comes the story of a town where every day is Saturday and everyone is a fan. And this fall comes the most dramatic season I can feel it of their lives.
What is it?
New neighbor sheriff.
We're bat fans.
Everyone wants that trophy.
Are you kidding me?
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville, kicking off this fall.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up.
Came through drippin', drip, drip. Came through drippin', drip, drip. Came through drippin', drip, drip. Diamonds on my wrist, they drippin'. Ice. Came through drippin', drip, drip. Came through drippin'.
Mountain Dew Ice, a clear, refreshing lemon lime dew.
This segment of RedHawk Football Weekly is brought to you by Courtyard Marriott Hamilton, conveniently located just miles from Miami University. Welcome back in to RedHawk Football Weekly. We're recapping the battle for the victory bell. Unfortunately, a 21-0 loss to the Bearcats Saturday night at Paul Brown Stadium. I'm Steve Baker, the voice of the RedHawks, rejoined by head coach Chuck Martin as we talk about this game, and we talked about missed opportunities. And, you know, I thought there were two pretty good defenses on the field on Saturday night. You and I had talked a lot about Cincinnati's defense, and I thought their front two, middle of that defensive line is some of the best in the country, and it really made the running game difficult because they are a stout defense, particularly up front.
Yeah, big, strong, and physical. You know, we had watched them, play the last couple of years. All those kids have been starting for them, been really good players. And then you watch what they did to UCLA, and really UCLA could get nothing going. They popped one long run the whole game. That was almost half their offense for the whole game. They couldn't protect their quarterback. They couldn't move him on the ground. So you knew going in it was going to be hard to run the football. We had we didn't have negative plays in the run game. We carved out some existence in the run game. It augmented some drives where we were able to run the football. Probably with the conditions, should have stayed with it a little bit more, even though it wasn't netting a lot, just to keep pounding away in there and see what you can do. And obviously, I think we threw it around pretty good. I think the quarterbacks and receivers felt, particularly in our first half, hey, we can throw the ball. Like, we can run routes, we can catch it, the footing's good. Gus felt like he could handle the ball, so he threw the ball pretty darn well in the first half. So I think early we were trying to take advantage of, knowing that Cincinnati doesn't care, they're just going to run it. We were trying to take advantage. Hey, the weather's not getting better around when the balls aren't as heavy and aren't as wet, then let's take our chances and try to go win a game here and not sit back and say we can't do this or we can't do that. So I thought they were physical. I thought they were about what we expect. I thought their back end guys really run and hit. Some of our plays, the perimeter, they came downhill and got after us pretty good. Kenny got hit a few times, shows how tough Kenny is, but also really nice plays. Closing space, looked like there was something there. All of a sudden, a guy shot out of a cannon, goes whack somebody pretty good. So not just up front, like you mentioned, they're very stout. They got athletic and physical guys in the back end too.
You take a look at the offense, and you had to go to the pass. And again, Gus is able to throw it around different people and take his shots. And it just was one of those games where you felt like, you've watched the film, obviously, you felt like you got things going and got things moving, and then just something, you get a penalty or you get a negative play, and suddenly the drive ends. Yeah,
and again, field position's key. Yeah. You're going to have a hard time against a stout defense like Cincinnati going on 80-yard drives. So trying to get the field position, like I said, the first half, not as bad as the second half. Second half, we're on a ton of crazy long fields. But the first half, we had some opportunities. We moved it, and then you got to pounce on them when you do. When you're not going to get Homer open very often, you got them open. We got to make that play. So, but we moved it enough in the first half to have after their second drive, we had more scoring opportunities than they did in the first half. We just didn't cash in on any of them. And then even until we threw the pick, even in the third quarter, we had a chance on it. We had the ball in the end zone. We have a throw in the end zone. We had another drive in the second quarter where we moved it down in 1st and 10 on the 32. We got to keep moving it forward and get points there. So again, we knew it was be limited opportunities. We knew it was be hard to drive on Cincinnati. You add in the conditions. Now it's going to be down to, you better cash in when you have the chance, and we didn't have many chances, and we didn't make the plays when we need to there.
Obviously, you look at this football game and you put it behind you. It's an important game, obviously, with Cincinnati and the battle for the victory bell and what it means. But right now it was just another game, and you have to get ready for Minnesota this week. You've looked at the film. What do you do with this week's practice? Obviously prepare for Minnesota, but also to get this team better and ready to play that game.
Yeah, I think, again, Saturday's game was interesting because of the conditions, so you don't probably learn as much from the tape. somebody asked me after the game, 0 points. What do you think about that? I'm like, I don't believe that's indicative of what our offense is. We played very well the first week on offense,
exactly.
and Marshall's a talented defense too, but conditions were a lot different. We had our full complement of what our run play actions, and what we do offensively isn't 3 yards in a cloud of dust. There's a lot of movement, there's a lot of east-west, there's a lot of misdirection to what we do, which, again, the conditions of the night wasn't really conducive to all the things that we try to do offensively. So I think you learn some things. There's certain areas on offense we got to keep getting better on, there's no doubt, but I still feel good about our offense, and I feel like we're going to be able to move the ball and produce points as the year goes on. Defensively, I think we took a nice step in the right direction. We misfit one early on, and you're never not going to misfit a play, but if the quarterback's 6'4" and runs really fast, you can't let him get to the perimeter, which we did, and he turned into a 39-yard run. That was our only play all day, basically over 15 yards the whole game. Right. We settled in. There was almost 2 whole quarters where they hardly moved the ball at all, maybe a first down, maybe 2 first downs, and they were just punting, and they just kept punting, and it was kind of like, hey, we got the ball back, another opportunity. So I thought some kids really played better defensively, played more physical defensively. But again, you're going to temper your enthusiasm for the defense because you also know the weather was a big factor. And Cincinnati had a lead, and they're playing it close to the best anyway. So they're not attacking very much on offense. So I certainly feel better about some of the things we did defensively, but I also know it was a defensive night.
Yeah, injury-wise, obviously playing in the rain, the conditions aren't the best. Luckily, it was field turf. How did we come out of the UC game getting ready for Minnesota?
Yeah, really physical game. Again, it was going to be physical anyways.
Sure.
And you add in the fact that they were going to hunker down and really make it be a bloodbath.
Yeah, right.
We came out good. We're sore, and I'd say 2-week juggernaut of what we've had. We're a very beat-up football team, but nothing major as of right now, knock on wood.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to continue to monitor the guys that, the guys in the trenches that played all those snaps and were very physical against a really physical team. Kenny Young had a bunch of touches, got hit very hard multiple times. Kenny asked him, how does he feel? He says, I don't know, everything hurts, but he's healthy. Nothing
healthy.
major, nothing, just full body sore for some of these kids that have played a lot of snaps.
Absolutely. Minnesota is the next opponent. They're 2-0 in play this season, of course, out of the Big Ten. They're coming off a 21-14 win over Fresno State. We'll preview the game Saturday at 3:30 up in Minnesota against the Golden Gophers. When we return to RedHawk Football Weekly, stay with us. This segment of RedHawk Football Weekly has been brought to you by Courtyard by Marriott Hamilton, conveniently located just miles from Miami University.
You are the center of a universe. That's what we've learned in 160 years serving our community. Everybody means the world to someone. So when you're in here, or if someday you find yourself in here, and when all you can think about is the world that revolves around you, we'll be a world that revolves around you too. Mercy Health. Healthcare for the universe of you.
From the creators of Dr. Pepper comes the story of a town where every day is Saturday and everyone is a fan. And this fall comes the most dramatic season I can feel it of their lives.
What is it?
New neighbor, Sheriff.
We're Bat fans.
Everyone wants that trophy.
Are you kidding me?
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville, kicking off this fall.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back into our final segment of RedHawk Football Weekly. Miami on the road this Saturday up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. They'll take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, who are 2-0 on this season. Head coach Chuck Martin rejoins me, and Coach, obviously a Big Ten team, obviously a very talented team, but playing with a true freshman quarterback, and Zach Annexstad has played pretty well through those first two games.
Yeah, he's played very well. Throws it very nice. He's big, strong. Kid, can make all the throws, can make the throws down the field. Let him, they were down 14-13 late and let him on a beautiful drive, had a crazy scramble, looked like the longest yard play. Had him dead to rights. At one point he was 25 yards behind the line. It was 3rd and forever, and then he rolled right, came back left, found their really talented receiver, the Tyler Johnson kid, toe-tapped and kept the drive alive and led him down to the winning touchdown. So what they do, they're going to pound the football just like when the staff was at Western Michigan. They're going to run the inside zone, the split zone. They've helped the freshman quarterback. They got a quarterback that's plays some receiver. The Seth Green kid, he's 6'4", 230 pounds, but they use him a bunch in Wildcat and used him very effectively last week. Not only short yardage, but heavy in the red zone. Right. And he got a 6'4", 230-pound guy basically just ripping it right down the middle behind a bunch of blockers in the Wildcat. So they've used that as kind of a second quarterback to augment their running game. Yeah. They still run the inside zone very well. They're four experienced starters up front, and similar style to what we saw last. They're going to pound the football, and then they're going to play action.
Yeah, and this is a typical PJ Fleck team in that they go pound it, and they play great defense. And when you look at their defense, I think the secondary is probably the best part of this defense when you take a look at what they're done. Winfield got a interception to win that game last week, and I think he's one of their better players.
Yeah, he's a dynamic kid. Obviously, great bloodline.
Yeah.
Good genetics. Good genetics in the family. Dad being one of the all-time greatest ever to play the game on the defensive side of the ball, and then punt return for a touchdown against New Mexico State in the opener. So not only can he hurt you on defense, but he's a great returner. The D end, they're strong up front, but the Coughlin kid is a wrecking ball D end, just so disruptive to run game, pass game in the backfield all the time. They're Captain Cashman, senior, physical all over the field. So they've got good experience on defense. They're very fit. They look like a Big Ten defense. They're big, they're physical, they're hard to run against. They're really sound in the pass game. Like I said, it'll be very similar to last week. I think a little more prolific offense. Minnesota has a little bit more advanced in the passing game than where UC's right now, but very similar. They're going to pound the ball at you, then they're going to use their play action game much like UC wanted to do.
Well, it's still early in the week, but the good news, the really good news is it's supposed to be sunny and 84 on Saturday, Coach. So finally some good weather.
It's a long ways away, but we'll take it. And again, that's part of the deal, and you play football outside, and you got to play in all conditions, and we haven't won either first two games. I think our kids handled the delay good. I think they handled the conditions Saturday very well.
All right, Coach, we'll see you on Saturday. Head Coach Chuck Martin joining us again on the air at 3:30. That's kick time. We're on the air at 2:30 with the Knowles of Oxford Tailgate Show, and we'll have it for you on the Miami IMG Sports Network. For Chuck Martin and our crew here in Oxford, I'm Steve Baker saying thanks for watching RedHawk Football Weekly. This has been RedHawk Football Weekly, brought to you by G&J Pepsi-Cola of Hamilton, refreshing Southwestern Ohio since 1939. By Koenig Equipment, found online at KoenigEquipment.com. By Marathon, fueling the American spirit. By Bud Light, reminding you to enjoy responsibly among friends. RedHawk Football Weekly is a sports production of Miami University and IMG College.
Pizza with Pepsi. Delicious.
Pepsi's always had great taste. Today, try great taste with zero sugar.
This is the Pepsi with zero compromises. This is Pepsi Zero Sugar.
You are the center of a universe. That's what we've learned in 160 years serving our community. Everybody means the world to someone. So when you're in here, or if someday you find yourself in here, and when all you can think about is the world that revolves around you, we'll be a world that revolves around you too. Mercy Health. Healthcare for the universe of you.